Hi everyone, how are you? I just wanted to make a quick video because I've had some pretty exciting news here and I wanted to share it, and also because of the exciting news, a lot of people have been asking me what I've done over the last 12 months, basically to get well, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to share a little bit about what I've been doing. But first, say hello to Ellie. Hey Elle. Oh, she's not very happy about that. I took her for a walk before and she got a bit upset about being separated from her friend Geordie. So some of you know that I got the news recently that I have an immune system again, and I cannot tell you how amazing that is. In fact, I'm quite emotional about it. I've just got overwhelming joy and gratitude and relief, I suppose is the way to explain it. So, if you're not familiar with my story, I was diagnosed with a form of lymphatic cancer at the beginning of 2013, non-Hodgkin's follicular lymphoma, and I had 6 months of chemo and monoclonal antibodies, and I went into a full remission. Now, of course, follicular lymphoma is not curable, and they just manage it with treatment along the way. So remission doesn't mean that I was healed, it just meant that the masses that I had in my stomach and throat had gone. They had been reduced significantly. And then I withdrew from the clinical trial that I was on and started a regime where I thought I could heal myself as a result of things that I had read. So I started juicing intensively. I was having 7 juices a day, and I also started meditating quite intensively with a view to turning on the relaxation response, which is what the body needs in order to heal. I'm going to talk a bit about that more. So for 5 months I was on this really intensive regime. It made it very difficult to see people, and about 5 months in I started to feel really well. But there was one small problem. I had diarrhea. And over the coming 5 months, the diarrhea got worse and worse and worse, so that ultimately I wasn't getting any nutrition. My weight got down to around 55 kilos. And one of my doctors kept saying to me, your lymphocytes, which are our white blood cells and our infection fighters, are not coming back after the chemo. From about April 2013 until, over 12 months, until very recently actually, they'd sat at about 0.2, where 1 is normal. And she was really worried about this and thought it was an abnormal recovery rate from chemo. So 12 months ago, I was at around 54 kilos. I was getting no nutrition. I was fatigued all the time. I had herpes all over me. And I went to my GP, she took one look at me and said, you can't look after yourself, and arranged for me to go to hospital. So when I was at hospital, I found out that I had the blood profile of an AIDS patient. Within the lymphocytes, we have the T cells, which are the infection fighters, and in particular, the CD4 cells. And I had a CD4 count of below 50. I also had 2 parasites. I had known about one, Blastocystis hominis, and I had tried herbal remedies to get rid of it, but it was looking like I was going to need massive doses of antibiotics to get rid of it. But when I was in hospital, I was also diagnosed with Cryptosporidium, which is really opportunistic and takes advantage of people with compromised immune systems. So I was given huge doses of antibiotics for that. Which then had side effects, I think. Something caused me to begin to shake. I wasn't able to string sentences together. I felt like I actually had voices in my head, and I couldn't articulate to anybody what was going on between my ears. I couldn't read, I couldn't write. Holding a utensil was almost impossible. And I just got sent off for more and more tests, and it became a bit of a roundabout, so I decided I needed to go home. I just figured that if I stayed in hospital, there was a good chance I was going to die there. And so I came home. The doctors said to me that there was nothing they could do for my immune system. In fact, one of my doctors, the infectious diseases doctor, would come and sit on my bed at night and say, I'm trying to think of something we can do for you. I don't know what we can do for you. So when I got home, I was pretty despondent. I think since the time I had been diagnosed, it was the first time that I really felt quite hopeless. And I had to let go of a whole lot of ideas about what my life should look like. And I just thought I was going to be like that forever. I wasn't getting any better. I had friends coming over to help me fold washing, cook meals. I had people cooking meals for my husband. There was just nothing I could really do without then having to sleep for an insane amount of time after doing a very, very small task. So thankfully, a few months before, I had booked tickets to the premiere of a film called The Connection. This film. The Connection, Mind Your Body. And this is a film about the mind-body relationship, and in particular, mind-body medicine. And although it covered a lot of what I had previously known, i.e. that the body cannot heal when it's in the stress response, and most of us live with chronic stress these days, which means we have the stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline coursing through our bodies. The body simply cannot heal when that's going on. And the mind actually can control our state of being so that our thoughts can create the stress in the body, and I've written about this before. But also through the mind, we can consciously activate what's called the relaxation response, which then creates an environment for healing within the body. So the film covered this, and I knew this. But what really resonated for me from the film was one of my own teachers speaking of his experience. Ian Gawler had done what I was doing with this intensive juicing regime, lots of meditation, in the 70s when he had been diagnosed with an aggressive bone cancer. And he said that from the outside it looked like he was doing everything he possibly could. But on the inside there was a slight nagging doubt that it wouldn't work. And he talked about the necessity of activating conviction, to get that belief in our own healing capacity, and that's central to what we can do. So I came out of that premiere and I said to my husband, the doctors have said there's nothing they can do for me, but I do believe there's one thing I can do for myself. If nothing else, I can meditate. So even though I didn't have the physical strength to meditate, I started to put teachings by Sogyal Rinpoche and Ian on my headphones. I would listen to guided meditations. And I did that for hours each day because there really was nothing else for me to do. But a week later, I came down with a fever. My temperature skyrocketed and I had my husband rush me to emergency. While I was in emergency, I was diagnosed with a form of pneumonia that only people with compromised immune systems, like AIDS patients, get. It's called PCP. The particles or bacteria that causes it are in the environment everywhere, but only people with no immune system actually contract the disease. So again, I was put on massive doses of antibiotics, still on massive doses of antivirals. I wasn't getting any better, and while I was in emergency, I actually had a couple of incidents where my blood pressure completely fell and I thought I was dying. And the doctors too were panicking because they thought they were losing me. This is a photo my sister took of me at the time. After I was then transferred to ICU, something began to feel better. I don't know, my oncologist was joking, he kept saying it was the steroids. I started to feel better than I'd felt in ages, and I had some energy. and but I puffed up on these steroids, but they got me walking. And despite the seriousness of my condition when I was admitted to hospital, I was actually discharged within 6 days. So I had 24 hours in emergency, 3 days in ICU, and 2.5 days on the ward, and then I was home. And I started walking up and down the corridors at home, and but I needed a walking stick. I couldn't walk unassisted. And all this time I kept on listening to meditations and trying to put myself in that relaxed state. 2 days after I came out of hospital, I had a distance healing with a beautiful friend of mine, Sarah McLeod, and I'm going to be publishing a video interview I've done with her shortly. I had this session with her, and I woke up the next day and something had shifted internally, and I was able to walk unassisted. And I've been walking every day since then, and that's nearly a year ago. So walking has been instrumental to my recovery. I try to walk for about half an hour every day, and some of you would know that I actually got well enough to be able to do the Walk in Her Shoes challenge for Care Australia in February or March, where I was walking 5 or 6K a day. So my health has significantly improved since that time. And then 10 days ago, I went to the oncologist and I had blood tests, and I found out that my lymphocytes are up to 1.4. And I also found out that my CD4 count is 610. It got down to less than 50 and now it's 610. Normal's 500. How exciting is that? And the best thing is that at the time of making this video, I took a little bit of a risk, and I actually took myself off my medications just to see what would happen, ready to go back on them as soon as possible, and I've been off them for a week, and nothing! I am so excited. Can you tell? Anyway, so with all this good news about my health, people have been asking me what I did. So I've already given you the clue. I've meditated a lot. So I came out of hospital and I started to use a meditation which is a combination of a mantra and affirmation. I would sit and meditate for 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes at night, and say, I am perfect health, over and over and over and over again. And I would imagine what being in perfect health looked like. It looked like this. And I would also practice mindfulness-based stillness meditation, which is the technique I've learned from Ian Gawler, through which he uses in his work with people with cancer. And it's the technique that I now teach. And I really believe that good health begins in the mind. And there are 2 reasons for that, and I am taking this from Ian, but I am now possessed with that conviction that this is right. Because our mind determines the actual state of our body at any given moment. What we think creates either a stressed environment or a relaxed environment in our body. But the mind is important in another way, and that is that it determines the choices we make, which either support our health or don't support our health. You know, the foods we eat, the liquids we drink, the environment in which we live, the way that we manage our time, all of those things are governed by our mind. And so through meditation, we get to train the mind so that we can make those better choices for ourselves. So meditation has been absolutely the centerpiece of my recovery. So has the walking. My diet has been important. I've remained on a predominantly plant-based diet throughout all of this, but when I first came out of hospital, I started to eat a little bit of calves liver and a little bit of fish, and I think the nutrients from that have really assisted. I also ate and made and ate bone broths which are fabulous for gut healing. And of course, a lot of this health issue is in the gut, and having had parasites, you know, my gut was not in a great shape. And the other bonus of all of this, which I forgot to mention, is that the huge antibiotics that I was on for the PCP, an antibiotic called Bactrim, actually knocked out the blastocystis hominis as well. So I am now parasite-free, which is fabulous, absolutely fabulous. And I can feel the difference within me. So my diet has been important. I now eat predominantly plants. Again, I might have a piece of fish or a piece of calf's liver once a week. That's about it, really. The rest is plants. Love my plants. Very few oils, very few fats, lots of leafy greens. I also, at the time when I was at my real low, resumed contact with an integrative doctor who's done a lot of work with AIDS patients, and I figured that if anyone was going to be able to help me get well, he would. So he put me on some supplements, and I've been going to his clinic about once a month or so. I started fortnightly going and having intravenous vitamin C with him. And I'll continue to work with him. He's quite creative in the way that he approaches health. And of course, I've been taking supplements. I've been using astragalus and graviola in smoothies. I've written about this in a blog post, all the supplements that I use, so you know, I won't go into a lot of detail, but I've certainly been continuing to use supplements. And the other thing that I have had to manage, and it's very difficult for this type A workaholic person, is although I've started work again, I've had to be very strict with the way that I use my time. My computer is programmed to go off at 8 o'clock at night so that I'm not exposed to that blue light, which tricks the brain and stops us from producing melatonin, which is necessary for sleep. Sleep is essential, absolutely essential to good health. And I'm really, really pleased to say that I am now sleeping better than I've slept for years, absolutely years. And so this management of my time has been really important as well. And you will have noticed that I stopped writing blog posts at the time that I was building the website, because if it doesn't fit within that time that I actually allocate for my work, then it just doesn't get done. And that's difficult because I compare myself with all these online presences who just seem to be blogging and making videos and doing all this stuff all the time. I just can't do that. And because my health has to come first. I have to walk every day. I have to meditate for at least 40 minutes every day. And I need to sleep. If I don't do those things, I'm not going to have the health that I've been able to get. So that's where I'm at. It's been an incredible journey, and I'm now really full of hope and belief. I have the absolute conviction that we can heal, that we can recover no matter what, that given the right conditions, our bodies can perform miracles. Absolute miracles. And in my interview with Sarah, she talks about the necessity of aligning with spirit, and that's important. The meditation enables me to listen to my intuition. I have been guided by my intuition on this journey. What do I eat right now? What does my body feel like it wants right now? So the other good news, the lymphoma is incurable, but when I went to see the oncologist, the words he used were no evidence of disease. So I am in pretty good shape at the moment. I love my life. I'm the happiest I've ever been. I'm given opportunities to serve and share my experiences with other people every day, like through this video, through teaching meditation and soon health coaching. What more could a girl ask for? I am so grateful, and I'm incredibly grateful for your support. So I'll leave it there. I'll see you online. Come play on Periscope for some ad hoc meditations. And in the meantime, as always, be happy, be well, just be. Much love.